I've been waiting all day. I didn't want to put out a video and then just have it be irrelevant 30 minutes later. But, we got to 5:30 Eastern. I'm like, I guess the Big Ten offices are closed. They probably don't work much past business hours because they're all lazy bureaucrats. So we're going to kind of just recap what we found out in the last 24 hours surrounding this Michigan football program, the response to the Big Ten, where things stand now, and what happens if something comes down for the Big Ten, a suspension or otherwise, later today, Thursday, anytime Friday, especially as it pertains to this Saturday's game. I mean, we are, folks, 43 hours away from kickoff, Michigan at Penn State. And we are getting close to 29,000 subscribers, the most of any YouTube channel, YouTube show that covers Michigan football on a daily basis. So if you guys haven't yet, now's the time. Subscribe, youtube.com/Michigan TV. It's free. And if you don't like it after this entire Harbaugh saga, Connor Stalions, et cetera, go unsubscribe later. But for now, stick with us here through this 2023 season all the way till January 8th, Houston or bust. Around Schembechler Hall today, it has been business as usual as it pertains to Jim Harbaugh, the coaching staff, the players. And don't make that seem like they don't care or they're being arrogant or they don't think something's going to happen. Basically, they're controlling what they can control. I think everyone's probably internally kind of anxious, nervous. You've got that pit in the feeling in your stomach. Something's about to come down. But I do think that Michigan knows that they've got the support of the university, the AD, the president. Hell, the entire Michigan State, not the entire Michigan State legislature, but 11 legislatures, state congressmen sent a letter to the Big Ten yesterday as well, supporting Michigan and asking the Big Ten not to make any, rush to judgment before the entire investigation has played out. But if a suspension happens, whether it be tonight or tomorrow or hell, at this point, maybe even next week, because tomorrow is a federal holiday, and I would assume that means that universities are closed. Maybe they're not. I'm not sure. Banks certainly are. And if a suspension happens, Michigan expects to get a 14-day temporary restraining order from a court. So since the courts are closed tomorrow, there's actually for big institutions like Michigan, they could pay an additional fee, get an after-hours judge to hear the case. The judge can give them a 14-day temporary restraining order to get Jim Harbaugh back on the field. Even if it happens tomorrow, he will be back on field, of course, by Saturday. And then after the 14 days is up, which would honestly end right around the day, game day or the day prior, Ohio State-Michigan game, they go back to that same judge and say, hey, nothing's changed in this case. Here's where things stand. We want to extend this. He can extend it 14 more days. So 28 days. That takes through the entire Big Ten season, Big Ten championship game. In theory, that eliminates any power that Tony Petitti has against Michigan and this season, right? The College World Playoff could, of course, say, hey, the Big Ten suspended you, blah, blah, blah. It's been 28 days. But just to cover their bases, Michigan, after that 28-day period can get what's called a preliminary injunction, which would be indefinite until the case plays out in court or the parties mediate on the side and come to a conclusion on what they can agree to move forward. Indefinite suspension, no suspension, meet somewhere in the middle, hopefully more towards the middle of Michigan's side than anywhere near indefinite suspension. But I'll ask you guys this question. Will the Big Ten try to suspend? Will they attempt to suspend Jim Harbaugh the rest of the 2023 season? I think the word there would be an indefinite suspension until the NCAA's investigation plays out, which is not going to happen till well past January 8th. Will they try? I don't think it's going to happen. Right? Court, we just laid that out. Will they try? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know down in the comments. I'm going to go yes, they're going to try, but I don't think it's really going to matter. But if this Jim Harbaugh suspension happens, I really think that it's going to cause a rift going forward between Michigan and Ohio State and other schools, other programs, just kind of how they their friendly behavior towards each other, even the spirit of the rivalry. I think Michigan and Ohio State have always respected each other's schools. I don't think it's going to happen going forward, especially if evidence comes out that we've heard this week that Ryan Day, Greg Schiano, Schiano now at Rutgers, former Ohio State DC, colluded to try and take the 2022 Big Ten Championship away from Michigan. Next up on the show, though, I did want to tell you guys, we've got some insight into the uniforms for Michigan Penn State on Saturday. Expect Michigan to announce this tomorrow on social media like they do almost every Friday afternoon, but I think we've got it pegged down from some inside info on what the Wolverines will be wearing on Saturday. Hit some other things before we talk more about the Big Ten and Jim Harbaugh. Injury concerns. We saw Josh Wallace leave the field about mid-game this past week against Purdue. As of now, Thursday evening, he is a game-time decision. Expectations that he's going to make the trip to Penn State tomorrow, but will be a game-time decision. Look, I have no real insight to this. I just kind of saw how he left the field on Saturday, went back, watched the Big Ten in 60, and hasn't practiced as far as I've heard, Tuesday or Wednesday. Could have practiced today, but don't have that inside info. My guess from past, with Mason Graham and other guys, Will Johnson earlier in the year, if you're not practicing Wednesday, you may make the trip, but doubtful to play. So Michigan could be down a starting corner. What you're not going to be down is having fun on your iPhone or Android, and that's because of Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the easiest and fastest way to play daily fantasy sports. Pick more or less on player stats to win up to 25 times your money. This week, folks, on Prize Picks, I am selecting little Penn State, Michigan flair. I've got Blake Corum. I have Drew Aller. I have Donovan Edwards. Now, Sam, you're going to have to jump on the mic here for a second because I can squint probably, but let me know what the stats are because I already forgot which ones I picked.
We're going Blake Corum more 75.5 rush yards, and I like that bet a lot, I'm not going to lie. Mm-hmm. Drew Aller, less than 193.5, no chance against Will Johnson in that secondary. And then Donovan Edwards, more than 16.5 receiving yards. All that takes is one. We know that well. So I like that. And, of course, what I like even more is the payout if it hits.
Yeah, that's Sam Brown filling in for Jack today. Jack on a little day off. I'm putting up 5 on it, folks. I win $25, and that's why Prize Picks is super easy. I just get stat predictions. I pick more or less. So I think a good rushing game from Blake Corum, a little receiving game, right? Or more than 16.5 yards for Donovan Edwards. And then I think Michigan secondary is going to shut down Drew Aller. Prize Picks even offers a reboot policy, so if a player in one of your entries gets injured in the first half, doesn't come back, they basically just back him out of the entry. It's almost like you just picked one less guy. The entry lives on. Prize Picks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy. It's really simple to play. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS when you make your first deposit. Get up to a $100 deposit match when you use promo code CLNS. Down in the comments in the description, both those links or the link and the promo code, get your $100 deposit match. And hell, make awesome picks, simple and easy picks on Prize Picks like I have all season long. Keep rolling on here. This Michigan football response to the Big Ten. Warde Manuel, all right, Michigan's athletic director, formerly at UConn at their AD, won a national title there in basketball. Has had a lot of success, but I think he's been kind of a punching bag of Michigan fans over the last few years. The whole debacle of the 2020 season, the Harbaugh contract, I guess cutting in half, and then not getting Harbaugh to sign a long-term deal, let him look at the NFL the last couple of years. In this letter, Michigan, from Warde Manuel to the Big Ten, Michigan admitted no wrongdoing, and they questioned the conference's authority to suspend any of their coaches or personnel in that regard. So good to see Warde Manuel looking back in Jim Harbaugh and doing a little handshake, doing a little bro hug, showing the love to your head coach that's taken this program to heights that none of us have seen either in our lifetimes or since we were wee little boys. If you're watching in your 70s or 80s, you haven't seen this kind of success, right? Michigan's won 3 Big Ten titles in a row. They beat Ohio State 3 straight times. So we're talking about 20 and 21 straight conference wins. We're talking about 3 potential trips to the college football playoff. That's never happened, of course, because the CFP didn't exist. And Michigan's never really went on a run this one where they can go 1 loss, undefeated in the regular season through a conference champion is what this team is looking at. So let's take a little bit dive into Warde Manuel's letter. It was sent to the Big Ten, but actually, I can't remember the guy's name. It was actually like Craig or something like that. It wasn't actually addressed to Tony Petitti, but they said the action, if they suspended Harbaugh or anything, would be premature disciplinary action before any investigation has come to fruition and finalized. He called the evidence that the Big Ten presented to Michigan on Monday grossly insufficient and a rush to punish could, because of external pressure from the media, from other Big Ten coaches, from people on social media and Twitter, just saying Tony Petitti, etc., would be, and what's the word there, Sam? Indefensible precedent. Guys, I was just talking to somebody today about LASIK eye surgery. I think it's time for it because these little small letters right here next to me, I got to squint to even look at them. There you go, Sam. Back on screen a little bit bigger for me. An indefensible precedent, which I agree with, right? Which is something that Tony Petitti needs to think about right now, is if allegations and social media photos and Twitter detectives and mad coaches is all that needs for you to end a coach's season or career, you're going to be up against this anytime, there's any allegations. You're going to have a 2 or 3 or 5, 6, 7 coaches in the conference, now 18 teams next year. They're going to get in a conference call, complain to you, demand action, demand action. And we've seen so many times in the greater public landscape, accusation one day, 4 or 5 months later, yep, the accuser was wrong or the evidence was insufficient, and you were already tried on the internet, you already tried in newspapers, you already tried in the nightly news, guilty, 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 but when reality comes, you were innocent. So I think Tony Petitti really should listen to Warde Manuel, a much smarter man than I think Petitti is, at least when it comes to disciplinary action and not putting up a crazy precedent that we haven't seen in the history of college football. Michigan does have a game in 48 hours or less, 41 hours or so. It's against Penn State, top 10 teams, number 3 versus number 10. I think Michigan with a dominant victory and with Georgia either losing or struggling with Ole Miss, which is the top 10 team in their own right, Michigan could potentially jump up into that number 2 or even number 1 spot. Still number 2 in the AP poll. This is the matchup that we've rarely seen in the history of the Big Ten this late in the season, right? Game number 10, where you've got 2 teams that have top 6 scoring offenses and top 6 scoring defenses. We got the number 5 scoring offense for Michigan, number 1 for Michigan's defense, and then Penn State, number 6 scoring offense and number 3 scoring defense. So I'll ask you guys, predict the score. I made my score prediction a few days ago. I said 27-13 Michigan. I'm thinking a little more confident than that at this point. I think Michigan is just going to come in there, fired the hell up. Maybe I'm going to change mine. It might be 38-13 by the time I get to game time. But as of now, 27-13. Comment below. Predict the score. Michigan at Penn State. Let me know how you guys are feeling coming up for Saturday. How about Jim Harbaugh, baby? He said this when he was with Stanford. He said this, either publicly or privately, but it's got out there when he was with the 49ers. He said it in 2021 when he was looking at the Vikings and other jobs. Wasn't feeling the love, was feeling the love. Harbaugh wants to be wanted, right? From his fans, his bosses, right, the owner of the 49ers, or when he didn't come to Michigan after the 2010 season, basically said, hey, he wasn't feeling the love from Dave Brandon. And from what it seems like to me, this whole Connor Stalions SpyGate saga has forced Santaono, Warde Manuel, the Michigan fan base, the other coaches on staff, the players, the University of Michigan Regents, right, wealthy alumni, to get off their hands and publicly or privately back Jim Harbaugh. And when you get that kind of moment for a coach's career situation, etc., you find out, it's always like, say, what's the line, Sam? You're a Drake guy. It's like, you gotta wait to figure out. You gotta wait till it's dark out to see who's really with you, right? That's the one, right? So you gotta wait till it's dark out to see who's really with you, which is kind of counterintuitive, right? Because it's dark out. But think about it in the realm of Jim Harbaugh in there. You gotta wait till it's dark out, till the entire college football world is closing in on you. Everyone's calling. Your colleagues in the Big Ten are saying suspension for life, 10-year show cause, take action now. End Michigan season. Vacate 3 straight seasons. Don't let them play in the college football playoff this year. Greg Doyle from the Indy Star, fired from CBS 5 years ago. I won't even vote for J.J. McCarthy no matter what he does because of Connor Stalions. When it gets dark, the entire world's closing on you. You see who's riding with you. And from what I can tell right now, talking to a few sources here, is that Jim Harbaugh has felt, over the past week in particular, the most love that he's really felt since the first couple of years he was at Michigan, maybe 2015, 2016 seasons, when everything was fresh, everything was new, and he had everything in front of him for Michigan as their head coach. Let's talk about some uniforms here. Alluded to this earlier in the show a few minutes ago. I think I got a good scoop on where Michigan's going to be, what they're going to roll out with uniforms on Saturday, and I think it's going to be this. I think it's going to be this right here. And you guys know this. Well, who's that against? That's Penn State. From what we're hearing, Michigan is planning on wearing maize pants for sure, and is heavily leaning, decision should actually be made tonight when all the uniforms are packed up, in wearing the all maize everything, right? They wore this a couple years ago against Penn State, the maize sleeves, the maize socks, the maize undershirts, the maize armbands here and there. They don't wear maize gloves, and maybe they should, but I really support this. Remember, 2 years ago, there's the rumor that was later confirmed by Jim Harbaugh that Michigan asked Penn State, can we come to your house, not wear white jerseys? Can we wear our all maize uniforms? Didn't happen. Penn State denied. So they went with the first time with this combo, the all maize everything. So I'm going to ask you guys this question. These are the 5 I picked out. I think are the most popular and most used and probably best of the 5 uniform combos. Just left a couple out for Michigan. And the differences might be subtle, but they're there. If you see the first picture, it's Michigan with the blue pants on the road. Right, all these are road uniforms against Maryland, and this one was all blue everything, right? Blue sleeves, blue socks, blue knee pads, etc. Next one against Michigan State, it's the maize pants, but with white sleeves and white socks, so a little bit different than the all maize everything. Then you've got the one you wore against Penn State that I just showed you, maize pants, maize socks, maize elbow pads, sleeves, etc. You got the one you wore 2022 at Rutgers and a few other times. It's the white uniforms, which I actually don't like. I don't like the all white uniforms personally, but with the yellow socks and yellow sleeves, I should say maize socks, maize sleeves, I apologize. And then you've got last year at Ohio State, the uniforms that Michigan wore basically every single away game of Harbaugh from 2015 through the 2020 season. They didn't start mixing it up until 2021, which is the all white everything, white socks, white sleeves, white jersey, white pants, etc. Give me a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on those uniforms. Let me know what you guys think, what at least you think are your favorite of those 5 that I rolled out there for Michigan on the road uniforms. Look, I would love for him to wear all mazes on the road again. I thought that was a good 1 or 2 time thing. Wore it once, 2017 opener in Dallas against Florida. I like to see him wear it on a road game. I actually have been calling for this for at least the last couple of years. I'd love to see like a Michigan-Ohio State where they're kind of color rushes. The all blues, right? The all blues everything versus the Ohio State all scarlet, aka red. No matter if one team's home, one team's away, where every single year, just like USC and UCLA does with their home and home uniforms, right? The full alternating combo. So we will see if Michigan does wear the all maize everythings with the white jerseys on Saturday. And a reminder for you guys, we're approaching 29,000 subscribers. Hit that subscribe button, youtube.com/Michigan TV. Send it to your friends. Hell, I can see you guys back in another 30 or 40 minutes. Depending on what happens tonight with the Big Ten, I am ready to take action with another video on their decision. So make sure you guys stay tuned to the Michigan Football Report by Chat Sports. Till then, go Blue!